Good afternoon. I'm John Falchicchio, Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development, and on behalf of Mayor Bowser, I want to welcome you to the Recovery Weekly Check-In with DMPED. And so today, we wanted to talk to you about an important topic, which we talked about to start the year, which is the Paycheck Protection Program. But before we get there, we wanted to give you a couple of announcements. One, Mayor Bowser announced an effort by MPD and DMPED to ask building owners and businesses to take down the boards. We have seen boards put up because of the unrest, and we understand that why folks made that decision, but now is the time to actually take down the boards. So we're asking folks to take down the boards as soon as possible. We actually do have a resource. If you are taking down the boards and you're looking for how to dispose of them, the Shaw Main Street has actually set up a program where they are working with a nonprofit called Wood for Good, where they take the wood that was used for boarding up buildings, as an example, and use it to create other products such as planter boxes, benches, and things of that. So if you're interested in helping and making a donation of your boards to the Shaw Main Street, you could do that by emailing shawmainstreetsinc@gmail.com. Again, it's Shaw Main Streets Inc. That's a plural streets, so there's an S there, inc@gmail.com. Tatiana has given me the head shake that I got that right, so that is good. So also wanted to let folks know that we're still in Restaurant Week. If you're interested in participating in Restaurant Week, you can check out the Restaurant Association of Metropolitan Washington's website. And on that website, you can find all the businesses throughout DC that are participating in Restaurant Week. There are dine out and takeout options for Restaurant Week. So we look forward to having you partake in that event. The Restaurant Association website is ramw.org. And if you go to /Restaurant Week, that's where you can find the participating restaurants. And it runs through Sunday, which is Super Bowl Sunday. So today, we're here to talk about PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. We talked about this over the or at the beginning of the year. We talked about it over the course of 2020 as well. But we wanted to have this conversation again because the application period is open. And so we're going to ask folks to join the conversation. If you're on social media, you could use the hashtag DCHope on Twitter or Facebook. If you're watching on Facebook, you could also use the chat function in order to send us a message, and we'll get those questions to our guests. But what I want to do now is bring into the conversation Christy Whitfield, the Director of the Department of Small Local Business Development, to get us started in our conversation about PPP.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. It's a pleasure to be here today to continue this conversation that you started several weeks ago about the PPP program. We know that to date, we're told that almost 900,000 PPP loans have been approved to the tune of $72.7 billion. And, you know, that's a lot of money. But we want to make sure that the DC businesses are taking the best advantage of these opportunities that are out there. I want to say that we understand that business owners are exhausted right now. It is a tiring time. And the idea of going into yet another portal for yet another resource, you know, may feel overwhelming. And I want to thank the Deputy Mayor and the Mayor for continuing to highlight this essential resource for our small businesses. And also to have an opportunity to say to those businesses, you are not alone in this. This administration is here to help you. I am here to help you. And we have a lot of other partners around the city that are here to help you. If you are in a Main Street, call your Main Street. If you are a member of the chamber or any of the chambers or want to become a member of any of the chambers, feel free to reach out to them, to the DC Chamber, to the Hispanic Chamber, to the Black Chamber. There's all of those resources to help you get your application together. You know, most importantly, you need to make sure you know who your lender is if you're going for the PPP. And I'm not going to step too much on our SBA experts' toes, but I do want to say, you know, we continue to talk about the difference between a bank account and a banking relationship. And we want to make sure that people have secured a banking relationship and an SBA lender that will advocate for them as they are pursuing these important resources. And last but absolutely not least, our very own PTAC team is at the ready to help anybody, with any confusion you have about the SBA website, or if you just want to talk to a live voice, call 202-727-3900, hit option 7. If a live person doesn't pick up, we will call you back quickly, and we will get you through whatever the next phase of this process, whether it's the PPP, the EDIL, or some other resource. Just know that even in the, we know the vaccine is coming, we know that resources are coming, but we also know that people are still very, very much in the thick of it. And, I understand the fatigue, but I want to really encourage people, please just reach out and ask for help, and we want to help you get you there. So that's, our message for today, Deputy Mayor. And I think my job now is to introduce the expert that can tell you about the details of the SBA resources, especially the PPP loan, Mr. Roderick Johnson, who is a guru of PPP right now. So thank you, Mr. Johnson, for coming and talking with us today.
Yes, thank you. As the slides are being pulled up, again, my name is Roderick Johnson. I am the Lender Relations Specialist at the U.S. Small Business Administration right here in Washington, D.C. We're right down on 3rd Street Southwest, but we are working remotely. And I want to state from the onset, there was $284 billion approved. During the first week that this program was open, which opened on January 11th through January 15th for women and minority-owned businesses through CDFIs and community banks, those portals were open specifically for you all to be able to participate early in the PPP 2.0 program. Now, out of that $284 billion, there's been $72 billion already approved. I don't want you guys to miss out on this funding, so please use the resources that are available to you. I'm going to first give you SCORE in DC, 202-619-1000, okay? So you have SCORE. Then you have the Women's Business Center in DC at 202-393-8307. You have the Howard University, SBDC, at 202-806-1550. And then Christy already gave you the number to PTAC, but I'll repeat it here again at 202-727-3900, option 7. Please use these resources to assist you with the forgiveness process, with draw 1, draw 2 of the PPP, and also the EIDL. And with EIDL this time, EIDL is actually being targeted to businesses that are located in moderate to low income areas. That's the loan as well as the grant. So I thought I would just open up with that tidbit of information while we were waiting for the slides to come up. All right, so for PPP 2.0, you must have used, if you applied for the PPP 1.0 and you have that money, you must use all of that money in order to apply for PPP 2.0. Now, some of the banks may ask you to actually apply for the forgiveness for PPP 1.0, but that is not actually in the legislation, okay? So you don't have to do that. So as long as you've used the funds from PPP 1.0, you can apply for PPP 2.0. If you're having a hard time using the money from PPP 1.0, then just go ahead and bonus the rest of that money. Call it hazard pay, okay? And go ahead and bonus the rest of that money, okay, to your employees. Now, if you didn't apply for PPP 1.0, well, now is the time to do that. But here's the thing. For PPP first draw, you can actually now get a loan for up to $10 million, which was the original terms, right, for PPP 1.0. So now you can get a loan for up to $10 million as long as you have 500 or below in employees. For PPP 2.0, for that second draw, you can only have 300 employees or below, and you must show a 25% reduction in your revenues quarter over quarter. So let me give you an example. So let's choose a date. So we'll choose September 30, right, 2019 to September 30, 2020. All right, so as long as you show a 25% drop in revenues, you are eligible. Now, here's the key to help your lenders out. If you're the majority business owner, 51% or more, you must sign and date those statements, whether they're QuickBooks statements, whether they're compiled statements, whether they are reviewed quality financial statements prepared by your CPA. You must sign those statements when you give them to your current bank. Also, if you have audited financial statements, which probably the majority of you don't, then you don't have to actually sign those financial statements, okay? Now, there are three new categories, and I'll close with this. There are three new categories that you can use the PPP money for, okay? And that is for software, accounting software, software for a CRM system, payroll software. You can also use the money toward PPE, okay? You can use the money to build your outdoor dome for outdoor dining. You can use the money to have your employees tested for COVID-19. You can also use the money to replenish your inventory, okay? And so now you have new ways of using that money under this legislation. Now, if you've already applied for PPP 1.0, then you cannot go back and capture those expenses. But if you have not, then you can go back and capture those expenses. And now that's a second way that I've told you that you can use up your PPP 1.0 money so that you can apply for the PPP 2.0 money. Okay, so the money is out there. It's available. All the bank's portals are open. I'm going to give you a website for all the forms, which is SBA.gov/PPP. All the forms are out there for Draw 1, Draw 2, for the new forgiveness form of $150,000 and below. It's called the 3508S form, okay? It's just a one-page document that you need to complete and sign and date and certify that the information on that application is true to the best of your knowledge, and then you go ahead and send that in to the bank. Remember the forgiveness process. The bank has 60 days to let you know whether or not they think this is a forgivable loan. They send it to the SBA. The SBA has 90 days to inform your bank, and then your bank will inform you whether or not your loan has been forgiven 100%, 50%, 6%, whichever the percentage is that your loan has been forgiven. One last thing. In terms of the idle loan being converted into a grant, it is now not a taxable event. Before, it was a taxable event. Now it won't be a taxable event. Secondly, the money that you've used for those 40% of expenses, where before you would not be able to deduct those expenses on your Schedule C, now those expenses are 100% deductible. So Congress did fix those two things in this bill, which is very important, okay? It was always supposed to be like that, but I guess Congress forgot to tell the IRS that. And so now that has been covered under this bill. I'm going to give you my direct line. It's 202-617-4435. Please call me directly, okay, with any expenses, with any questions that you have. And then secondly, my email address is roderick.johnson@sba.gov, okay? Now, I'll probably respond much faster via email because I'm getting a lot of calls during the day, but if you send an email, I can respond to you so much faster, okay? So with that, I'll turn it back over to our moderator.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that information and especially the contact information, which I'm sure folks will avail themselves of that opportunity to reach out to you and ask you a little bit more in-depth questions as they come up. I'm going to get to the remainder of our panelists, but also give folks another resource. Roderick gave his contact information. We also have the DC Chamber of Commerce has stepped up again to offer technical assistance to help people navigate through the PPP process. So the Chamber has a contact. It's Linda Curry at the Chamber. Number is 202-379-1897. Again, Linda Curry at the DC Chamber. It's 202-379-1897. And her email address is lcurry@dcchamber.org. And it's LCURRIE@dcchamber.org. So you have those two great resources. Director Whitfield talked about a few others, so make sure you avail yourself to all those. If you have questions for Christy or for Roderick, if you want to hit 0 now, if you're listening on the phone line, that'll get you into the queue to ask a question directly. And if you're on listening or watching on social media, you could use the hashtag DCHope. As well as the chat function on Facebook in order to ask a question of any of our panelists. So with that, I want to bring in our next guest, who is known to many in DC in his various roles as the city administrator, the deputy mayor for planning and economic development, the chair of the Housing Authority Board. He's currently the president and CEO of the Downtown DC Business Improvement District, and he established a grant program similar to what we did in DMPED with Mayor Bowser. The Downtown DC bid has a grant program of its own, so I want to bring into the conversation Neil Albert, the president and CEO of the Downtown DC bid.
Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor. Thanks for this opportunity. There are two resources I'd like to share with the public today. One is the pandemic loan grant program that Downtown DC launched, which is targeted solely at businesses that are located within the Downtown DC bid boundaries. So if you're not sure of the boundaries, just go online to downtowndc.org and you can find those boundaries. Next slide. So as many of you know, the Downtown DC, like many parts of the city, have been hit severely by this pandemic. Downtown DC, as you know, is about 76% office space. And so the regular foot traffic that supports our restaurants and other retail businesses has just not been there. And so this program that we launched is in an effort to provide some financing to support those entities that have been suffering. And so we're going to be awarding grants of between $5,000 to $15,000 to retailers in the bid, both restaurant and non-restaurant retailers in the bid. So here are some key dates. Next slide. So the program opened on January 14th. The application deadline expires on Thursday at 5 p.m. And then we hope to notify folks between the 15th and 17th of February on whether or not they're going to be awarded a grant, with disbursements going out the last week of February. So if you haven't applied, please go online, get the application in before 5 p.m. on Thursday. You must be located within the downtown bid boundaries. As I mentioned before, it's for food service and non-restaurant retail. And you must be able to demonstrate, like your PPP loan, that there was a decline in revenue from the period of April to December of 2020. And then in an effort to have our funds go as far as possible, we are not recommending grants for chains in the Downtown DC bid. So then I want to share with you another program that the BID has launched, next slide, to support our businesses that are in the BID. And so we've heard a lot of conversation earlier today about PPP, and we want to encourage all businesses in downtown DC to take advantage of the PPP program. As Christy mentioned, and as Roderick mentioned, over $70 billion has already been accessed. And so we want to be able to provide technical assistance to businesses located in downtown DC to help you with navigating this program. So we have engaged CohnReznick to provide technical support to businesses in downtown DC. The downtown BID will be paying up to $900 in costs and fees for any businesses in the BID that want to take advantage of this opportunity. So what would you get? So CohnReznick would help you navigate program compliance, particularly if you're a small business, help you with document preparation, and then finally with application assistance. So to participate in this program, please email ppp@downtowndc.org, and we look forward to assisting you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for the time, and I'm going to turn it right back over to you.
Well, thanks so much for that, Neil. And this is really important. We had reached out to our federal partners at FEMA, at the SBA, to see if there were any specific loan programs, any grant programs for businesses in the downtown BID and the Golden Triangle BID, and really in that area that was encompassed by the inauguration perimeter. We weren't successful in that attempt, but I think what's important here is that the downtown BID has made this resource available for businesses in the downtown BID in order to get technical assistance to take advantage of the federal programs that are available to us. So, Neil, I want to thank you for your leadership on this, and we'll come back to you for questions and conversation. Christy's going to bring in our next two guests.
So next on the panel, we are really excited to be joined by an actual lender. We talk a lot about making sure that you're in connection with lenders, and we know that the Latino Economic Development Center last round was really instrumental in helping many, many businesses access these resources. And so we're very excited today to have Daniel Freeman, who is the Loan Operations Manager from LEDC, to talk to us a little bit about how LEDC is helping district businesses access these critical funds. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you, Director and Mr. Deputy Mayor, and very glad to be here to share some of this information. So as she said, I'm the Loan Operations Manager at LEDC, the Latino Economic Development Center. And for those who have not heard of this, or maybe those that have, a little refresher, we are a nonprofit organization certified by the U.S. Treasury as a community development financial institution. And our mission is to serve low to moderate income Latinos and other underserved residents in the Baltimore, Washington area. And that really ties back to the beginning of LEDC and the Mount Pleasant riots of 1991. Our organization came out as a response to that. I believe the Mayor's Office on Latino Affairs at the same time. Which is all to say that our services are bilingual, English and Spanish, but Latinos are about half of the demographic that we serve. So on this slide, you'll see the list of our office locations, although we are working virtual these days. And our program areas are split in between small business and housing. So small business, primarily with the lending program, it's SBA microloans up to $50,000. We do have small business technical assistance, business advice, which can range from starting the business to marketing plan and pivoting in COVID, of course. We do have credit building programs. We have resilient business corridors, for example, along Georgia Avenue Northwest and throughout the region, for example, along the Purple Line corridor. We're very active there. And I do want to mention Empowered Women International, which is a program dedicated to women entrepreneurs. And then also housing, important to mention, in case it's relevant to anyone listening or viewing, we are involved in affordable housing preservation, primarily the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act, organizing tenants when their buildings go up for sale. and also home ownership counseling. Many of you might have heard of the Down Payment Assistance Program, HPAP. Another one that's not listed here, but did launch last quarter is direct community investments. So we've been working very closely with the Deputy Mayor's office on the DC Micro Grant and other bridge funds as well. And if we can go to the next slide, so here you'll see the overview of the PPP, and I want to thank Rod for his detailed explanation of the program. I won't go through too much of the nuance, but I did want to reiterate that it is a 1% loan, fully forgivable, no personal guarantee, no collateral, and for many applicants, just to be aware that you can qualify as a self-employed individual, as a sole proprietor, as an independent contractor for yourself, but just make sure that on your 2019 or 2020 tax return, your Schedule C shows a positive net income, as that's your payroll, and that's how we will calculate the loan. If we can go to the next slide, please, you'll see our landing page on our website, ledcmetro.org/SBA PPP. We have a wealth of information there, overviews from the SBA, as well as links to the SBA website in English and Spanish. We have our own frequently asked questions button to request technical assistance free of charge with assistance with our application. We also have links to some slide decks, and the Deputy Mayor mentioned the DC Chamber. We're actually collaborating on an info session later this month, February 24th. So if you navigate to the events page of our site, you'll be able to see those details and register. If we go to the next slide, please, you'll see just a little snapshot of our online application portal. It is, we think, very user-friendly. We do have it in English and Spanish, secure document upload. You can save your progress, come back later, and we're really here to walk you through the whole process. So yeah, we can go to the next slide and just see that URL one more time, ledcmetro.org/SBAPPP. And I do want to introduce a client of ours. Very pleased that she's able to join us and talk to her experience. Shiva Gillenshaw, she's the primary contact for Picture Frame Factory Corporation, which she's run with her husband for 30 years in Adams Morgan. So thank you so much, Shiva, for being here. I'll pass it off to you.
Of course. Thank you, Daniel. Good afternoon, Mr. Deputy Mayor, panelists, and guests. It's really a pleasure to be chosen to participate today in this discussion. Just a little history on Picture Frame Factory, which is, of course, our lifeline. It's a family-owned business, which was the dream of my husband, Cameron Gillenshaw. We're located at 2300 18th Street Northwest, and you know, we like to bring the vision of grandeur to artwork. We like to bring the passion into everyone's life and art. We basically do framing in all kinds of artwork, museum framing, and all sorts of framing for embassies and businesses, and we've owned the business for 30 years. During this pandemic, though, it's been extremely difficult to continue operating as we had. As I'm sure it's quite obvious, we were told that we could get PPP loans. It was advertised all over the place, don't fret, you can get a loan. And actually trying to access information about where to get the loans from was extremely challenging. We did get a lot of assistance from the Adams Morgan bid, which we're grateful for, as well as the LEDC. The LEDC really became a lifeline for us after approaching various banks that, we were told that if we had a relationship with a bank, we should approach them. Well, that word relationship is very vague because we thought we had a relationship with several banks that we had done business with for 30 years, but obviously we didn't, and they were lending to bigger businesses. And so that was very difficult and challenging for us. But LADC really did help us. Carla Posada, Daniel Friedman, Robert, just a number of people there just really held our hands. And I think that's what small businesses need. They need people to not just say, go to this website and, fill out the forms. And, we're lucky in that, we don't have a language impairment or difficulties, but there are a lot of small businesses that are not fluent in English or are not well-versed in how to access this information or are not computer savvy. So I think those are the businesses that need a lot of help. We needed help, but we got it. Thankful for that. And as I said, we got it through really trying to go through the different channels and maneuvering through them. But that's basically what our experience was. We did try to maintain our integrity and keep the spirit of the neighborhood up by keeping our neon lights on throughout this pandemic. Our lights were shining for a whole block on 18th Street, letting everybody know that not to give up. And that's basically it. If you have any questions or if I can discuss this more, I'd be happy to.
Well, it's John Falchicchio. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for sharing your story. I have to say that if Room Raider is watching, your frames look fantastic in the background.
Thank you.
So tell us too, so when you decided to which programs you took advantage of and which programs maybe you passed on, how did you approach that? How did you and you said you work with your husband on the business. How did you all approach those decisions?
Well, I mean, it really wasn't a decision as to what we decided to apply for or not apply for. It was basically what we were qualified to apply for. And so we approached, I read through the different requirements and, did realize that the PPP program, we were eligible to apply for it. And the EIDL we were eligible to apply for, and the DC Small Business Micro Grant. So just eligibility requirements, and then just following up and finding people to kind of latch on to and not let go, and constantly email and call and leave messages. So that's how we did it, and it really did help us an awful lot. Mentally, it gave us the strength to be able to continue, and of course, monetarily, we were able to keep the doors open to continue to do the payroll, and so it really was a lifeline. All of the grants and the PPP loan were a tremendous help to us.
And I saw Daniel laughing when you were saying to call and email and then call and email again. Daniel, you want to tell us about your experience, how businesses have approached it, and how they've actually overcome the hurdles to be successful?
Sure. That's, I think in terms of, for us, it seems like the obvious thing to do and just provide the best customer service that we can. But in the first round, for example, we had applicants who found out through us that they had been approved by another lender already. So we keep the lines of communication open. We'll reach out via email, set up the phone call, talk to you, and really learn your story. And it's not, you're a person, and we realize that, and we work with you one-on-one, and so we'll set you up and connect you with one of our business coaches or loan officers, of course, and just make sure that we get through the process, or if there is a hurdle, that we explain very transparently what that is, what steps need to be taken, et cetera. So I think it's all about the approach.
And I think, Daniel, that's also where Director Whitfield talks about having a bank account versus having a bank relationship. And I always try to use this example. I saw her laughing as you were talking because I always use the example of I have bought a Rihanna CD. I follow her on Instagram. Is that a relationship or is that more of an account?
Deputy Mayor, it was Alicia Keys last time, and I can tell you in both cases, it's an account,
Not a relationship.
not a relationship.
And so how do you coach businesses to kind of establish that relationship?
Well, and I think that Daniel can speak to how he feels on the other side, but what we tell people when we are, trying to especially get these resources into the pockets of the small businesses is to be very candid with their lenders about, how they're going to prioritize their applications. We know that sometimes, people say, oh, I'm an SBA lender and we can do this, is different than I'm going to make sure I shepherd you through this process. And I think that getting that assurance, and if someone doesn't necessarily want to say that, we might, suggest that you ask, are you prioritizing the way that these are coming into the queue? Because we saw that in the first round that they were. And I wanted to just ask Daniel to double down on something here, because you are the Latino Economic Development Center. But I think it's important for people to hear that LEDC serves all types of people, and that you absolutely don't have to be Latino to take advantage of these services.
Correct, yes. So everything we do, all of our staff members, it's available in English and Spanish. So it's really all about widening that reach. And yeah, our mission is to serve Latinos, but again, that's about maybe half of who we end up serving, and it really is not any sort of requirement. And I think it's about, as you were saying, just establishing those that relationship early on in the conversation, that transparency of this is our timeline, this is what we're looking at. We want to make sure people that didn't get that first draw last time get that opportunity. We actually recommend that you go back to your original lender if you're looking for a second draw, because they have pretty much all the documentation that they're going to need anyways, probably a quicker process. So we try to touch on these things early on, let you know what to expect, and go from there.
Daniel, one more question, which is that, we know that businesses, and Shiva has made this pretty evident in her comments too, our businesses are somewhat panicked. Somewhere on the spectrum between, panicked and apoplectic, I would imagine, and probably come to you really just looking for advice and answers. But I wonder if you might give some advice to people as they approach their lenders, or the types of things that, that might help them smooth out their process.
Good question. Well, I think that one thing I've been trying to reassure folks of is the SBA's efforts to make sure these dollars get to the most underserved, in that first week that was just to CDFIs, and also the set aside of the dollars for PPP. I looked it up. I believe it's $15 billion, which is double what was dispersed by all CDFIs nationally last year. So there's plenty of money. We have until March 31st. I would just say, I know it's difficult, but to sort of take a deep breath and read through everything and all the details. The guidance is there. At LEDC, we try to share the information, so we're looking at the same thing. And if you can follow those things, and of course we'll let you know. So don't fret either if you're making mistakes. We'll work with you there. But just take your time, and there's definitely a way forward in a timely manner, but it doesn't have to feel frantic either.
So why don't we bring in some of the questions from those who are watching from home or from the office, and go to social media and the phone lines. First up is a question actually for Roderick. I thought we'd get this question. Folks asked if you can repeat your phone number and email address. So softball question for you. Roderick, are you with us?
Okay. I'm with you. I'm here.
Great. We might have lost your camera.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We might have lost your camera.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. Okay, great. We can see you now too. Roderick, we can see and hear you.
Okay. I didn't hear the question.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. The question was, it's a softball question, I promise. What's your phone number and email address again for the listeners.
Oh, okay. 202-617-4435. And it's Roderick, RODERICK .Johnson @SBA.gov.
All right, I appreciate that. That was the easy one. Now a little bit tougher. Who qualifies for the targeted EIDL, the EIDL grants of $10,000?
Yeah, you have to be in a low to moderate income area in order to qualify. There's actually, when I gave you that website, SBA.gov/PPP, there's actually a URL there, and you click on it and put in your zip code, and it'll tell you if your business falls into one of those areas.
Okay, fantastic. And Tatiana flagged for me that folks are asking for the other phone numbers that we gave for technical assistance. We'll make sure we put those on social media. We'll also list those on coronavirus.dc.gov/recovery in order to get you all the different phone numbers that we've given today for technical assistance as it relates to PPP and other SBA programs, as well as the downtown DC bid. Another question came in about let's see if Renee on from Ward 3 is on the line. Renee, can you hear us? This is for Roderick. Just going to have a question for you, Roderick.
This is Renee. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
All right, perfect. First off, thank you to everyone, our federal partners and DC government. I'm a representative from our housing cooperative, and we definitely benefited from the EIDL assistance as well as DC's micro grant and legacy grant. My question for SBA is we are concerned about audits from the SBA, and in particular, maybe even from the Inspector General. And we're pretty good about keeping, tabs and receipts on everything. Is there something that should we be, keep in mind in terms of what to keep in our files in the event of an audit? And it's just making us very, very nervous, especially with when taxes, tax season coming up very soon. And then the second part, if I could just add real quick, is again, I'm a representative for a cooperative, and it's just we just felt largely left out of the entire picture and the assistance in the federal government. We did get EIDL assistance. Cooperatives that had to have a special carve out. DC government was very excellent, including the deputy mayor's office for providing assistance to all different types of businesses. So I would like to advise that the SBA keep co-ops in mind. Our business structures, we have very well-named businesses like REI or Land O'Lakes Butter that are cooperatives in their business structure, but they should have just as much of a seat at the table in federal financing, just like big name, Fortune 500 companies. And we felt it's just really being left out.
Okay. Well, let's have Roderick give us some guidance on some of your questions.
Okay, so the first one is documentation. So you should keep the documentation for, frankly, up to 6 years. So what does that documentation include? Well, obviously you're going to have your 941s if you have employees, so your 941s. Then you're going to have the bank statements, the canceled checks. You're going to have the invoices for all the expenses, okay, that you use for that 40%. So that's typically what you're going to have in terms of your documentation. If you are a single member LLC, sole proprietorship, or 1099 contractor, of course, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to have your Schedule C, you're going to have your bank statements, you're going to have the invoices for, the bills that you have to pay, along with the canceled checks to actually show how the money was spent.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Roderick. And I think we have some other questions. One question we had, not related to PPP, but related to the Bridge Fund, and in particular the entertainment program under the Bridge Fund. So this is a question that we got from Frank. He wanted to know about those individuals who had received PUA. And actually, Frank, we've got an update for you on this. So we've worked at DMPED to make a pivot of our own. And so today we're reopening the Bridge Fund for the entertainment program, supporting businesses to allow more businesses to apply and to receive financial relief. Additionally, DMPED is going to be adjusting the eligibility requirements so that sole proprietors who had been or approved or received PUA are now eligible to reapply. So you could encourage business owners. We want to ask you to go to coronavirus.dc.gov/bridge-fund, and that's where you can find more information and apply if you are in the entertainment category, again, and if you were previously unable to apply because you had received a PUA assistance or had been approved for it, you are actually now eligible to apply. So that's one of the pivots that we were making. And so what we'll do now is continue our work on the restaurant, the retail, the entertainment venue portions. This week, they're actually being notified. All the applicants who had applied, who are going to get an award, are getting notified this week. So if you're in the restaurant, the retail, or the entertainment venue, your notification will come this week if you are getting an award. And so look for that information. Make sure that you've added the email addresses to your inbox. We'll list those on the Bridge Fund page of the coronavirus.dc.gov website, just to make sure things don't go to your spam. But did want to let Frank and others who inquired about those who received PUA assistance. DMPED is making a pivot and allowing for those individuals to apply at coronavirus.dc.gov/bridge-fund. So wanted to make sure that we gave that important update, and we'll, of course, keep putting that up on our website and sharing it on social media as well. Another question that came in on social media, I believe, is about the rent relief bill that was signed into law at the end of 2020. It was to give aid to states to help with rent relief. And so does DC receive that, and can a landlord file on behalf of the tenant? This person owns a building in Ward 5. So yes, the answer is that the District of Columbia will receive funding from the federal government for rental assistance. And that rental assistance will be able to be applied for by both the landlord and the tenant, so both the housing provider and the resident. However, the federal government hasn't finalized the rules for their rental assistance program. So we're awaiting those rules, and then we will really finalize the district's program and the district's approach to rental assistance, given that federal resource. Something to look to the coronavirus.dc.gov /recovery page. If you go there now, there actually are some funding programs, some grant programs for housing providers that you can check out now that are currently available, and then we'll have more information about more rental assistance as those rules become available and as we finalize the program. So with that, I want to actually turn back to Neil Albert. Neil, what's your best advice for businesses in the bids? I know you were with us last week when we were asking businesses to take down the boards, but as they kind of approach all these different programs, what's your best advice to business owners?
Yeah, Deputy Mayor. So I do want to echo the call to for businesses to remove their boards. And again, if you need assistance, please contact the Downtown DC bid. We really want to create a sense of that downtown DC, not just a sense, but the reality is downtown DC and downtown in general is reopening for business. And part of that effort is to make sure that businesses in the downtown DC area know of every opportunity for funding, including the BIDS grant program, but also the programs that are available from the Deputy Mayor's office, from the federal government. So we share that information regularly. It may be overkill, some people say, with our broad stakeholder audience. So our encouragement to you is to go on our website, see what's available, take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. And as usual, if you need assistance from the Downtown DC bid, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. But let's make Downtown DC vibrant again, and you can do your part to make that happen.
Well, thank you, Neil, for that. And just to walk through the two programs you talked about, the grant program is if you are non-retail or non-restaurant, can you apply for the grant program?
Yeah, so any business in downtown DC could apply. You don't have to be a restaurant or a non-retailer. You can be a nonprofit. You can actually run a cultural institution in downtown DC. So there, obviously, it's a small grant. So if you are a chain, we encourage you not to apply. But any business located in downtown DC could apply.
And the technical assistance then?
Technical assistance, anyone, regardless of size. If you think you need help in applying for your PPP loan or even loan forgiveness, again, please reach out to us, ppp@downtowndc.org, and we will assist you.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And then, Christy, as we close out here today, any other advice? I know we keep giving folks a lot of different resources to go to, kind of navigating, as we talked about with our other guests, how you navigate what's right for you.
Well, I think the biggest advice first and foremost is to breathe and then just make sure that you don't quit, right? And now entrepreneurs by our nature are not quitters, but I think that we have been through a lot of, turbulation in this past year. So I think remember the website. If you only remember one, remember the coronavirus.dc.gov. But then second after that, dslbd.gov. And then just take one step. Just take one step and then just take one more step. And then just know that you are not alone, that the stress that you're feeling is felt by a lot of other people and that there are a lot of resources to help you. And if you don't remember them, call us and we'll remind you.
Great. And Roderick, any parting advice and how many calls have you gotten since we started this call and you gave out your number?
Well, I haven't seen my phone blow up yet, but I'm sure it will tomorrow. All I can do is really encourage people to just apply, okay? Just take a deep breath. I know it can be overwhelming to fill out forms and pull the forms together so that you can fill out the form to apply at your bank, but I encourage you to apply.
Great. Daniel?
Yeah, just want to reiterate that CDFIs we're a hidden gem, but we're here. If you feel discouraged with your bank, there are alternatives like LEDC here to help. So please visit our website, ledcmetro.org, /SBA PPP. But we also have a business directory of local DC businesses. You can get yourself on there as well. Lots of things to take advantage of and be a part of.
Great. And Shiva, thanks for helping us frame all these important issues. Give us your parting advice for business owners too.
Just stay strong, stay safe, make sure that the clients, the customers that come in know and abide by the CDC guidelines, and just keep your family, your business, and your patrons safe, and try to get as much assistance as you can from the various resources that are available and that were discussed today. And hopefully we can all get through this and keep our lights on and take the boards off, and which we never put off to begin with. But just stay strong, DC.
Well, thank you so much for that. And I just want to thank all our guests for another session, another check-in. We are continuing to push Shop in the District as a effort on behalf of DMPED. I know that Director Whitfield launched the I Buy DC Challenge back in the holiday season, and that continues as well. I've still seen folks posting on social media, so it doesn't stop. With Super Bowl Sunday coming up, with Valentine's Day, if you're fortunate enough to be able to treat yourself or treat a loved one, make sure that you shop local. And so we'll look for social media to highlight folks who use Shop in the District and the I Buy DC challenge in order to highlight the DC businesses that they're supporting. And again, it's Restaurant Week continues through this Sunday, through Super Bowl Sunday. So make sure that you get out there. You could dine out or you could take out in order to support DC restaurants through the Restaurant Association of Metropolitan Washington's Restaurant Week. So be sure to do that. And then, of course, always check out coronavirus.dc.gov/recovery. That's where we put all this information so that you have the resources you need to navigate the days and weeks ahead. With that, I want to thank you for joining us. We'll be back next Tuesday at 4 p.m. In the meantime, be sure to mask up, and thank you and stay safe.